Hey guys, Mr. Sonnenberg here. So today we're going to talk about what light is. So it's for Science 8 students studying Light and Optical Systems, which is topic 1 in your textbook. This would be a good time to get out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and start jotting down some notes as we go through this screencast for your study purpose. So what is light? Basically, simply stated, light is a form of energy that we can see. So light is visible, but it's still a form of energy. So there's two ways we can produce this light. One, we can produce it, or it can be produced naturally. Okay, so that's things like by the sun or by fire, or it can be produced artificially. So we use some form of a light producing technology to do so, and we can use batteries possibly to power it, or other forms of electrical energy we can use to be used to produce light. So remember, light is visible. So we think about some questions that we might have about light, or some ways that we see light. We see it in light bulbs, we see it in lightning bolts, we see it in glow sticks, we see it in the fluorescent lights, excuse me, in the classroom. We see it from the sun, from a campfire. We see all these different forms of light. But basically what light is it's radiation. Okay? So when radiation is a wave-like transfer of light, and it transfers in all sorts of directions. So if we were to draw a picture of the sun down here, okay, so what is light? Well, we're seeing these wave-like structures in all directions. So now radiation isn't confined to only one specific direction, maybe from east to west, north to south. It doesn't move in a particular direction. Radiation occurs and it moves in any direction. So if we had the sun, okay, right here, I'll just maybe write that in. The sun, now it's radiating, but these are like waves. So they're wave-like transmissions of light. Now it's visible light, but it also gives off we have radiant heat. Okay, so but it's moving in all directions, which is really important. So light is often called radiant energy, and we call it radiant energy because of these concepts that it moves like waves, and uh, and it goes in all sorts of different directions. So light is formed from the sun, so which the sun would be a form of natural, okay, would be a form of natural light and energy, but it's formed from the sun in a process that we call nuclear fission. Now, nuclear fission is basically in the core of the sun, there are atomic nuclei of hydrogen, and they are going to collide at extremely high speeds, and what's going to happen is they're going to end up forming the new helium compound and they're going to form a new nuclei, and so they're going to form helium, and so that nuclear fission where the atomic nuclei actually collide, and it's a very fast speed. They collide and they form in this fusion. They form a new nuclei, and so it's kind of helium, and so that's where we get light forming in the sun, is from that collision of these atomic nuclei. Okay, so light is a naturally forming forms natural light. A campfire is another example, or when we use a candle, the flame from the candle would be considered natural light. And we'll talk in the next screencast about light sources and what they mean both naturally and artificially. But radiation, wave-like transfer of light, and it moves in all different directions, and so we typically call light radiant energy. So then we have that new natural form, which is the sun, and it's formed by nuclear fission, so the collision of atomic nuclei and forming a new nuclei and colliding at very high speeds. So again, what is light? Well, light is a form of energy, and that's really important that we understand that it's a form of radiant energy. So once that light reaches the surface, there can be two processes that occur. One, the light can be absorbed, and two, it can be transformed into other types of energy. So it'll be absorbed by certain substances and materials, and then from there we can transform it into other types. So there's three types we're going to be looking at that it can be transformed. So from this right here, three types. So we can have one, which is electrical energy. Okay, and so solar cells change light into electricity. So we take these solar cells that are right here, okay, and from this little sentence here, we convert them into electricity to power our calculator. And the second is thermal energy. So we take, for example, take a camera, changing light into thermal images. So we take the camera, we take this thermal energy, so this heat energy, and we can produce images. Okay, produce images to show this thermal energy in our body, and we use that through light, and we're converting it into thermal energy. And then the third way we can do it is chemical energy. So the plants go through a process called photosynthesis. So this tree converts light energy and it absorbs it, and it converts it into food, which is a form of chemical energy for the plant and the tree. So now the amount of energy that a surface absorbs or receives is dependent upon the intensity of the light. Now intensity, it's an important word. So what does it mean to be intense? Well, the more intense, the more that means there are higher levels of light available. The lower the intensity, it means that there are low levels of light. So high levels of radiant energy, low levels of radiant energy. So if I increase the intensity, I'm increasing the amount of light that is available, so that particular light source. So basically, if we look down at the sentence down here, the more intense the light, the more light can be absorbed, which makes sense. If there's more light available, there's more opportunity to absorb and to take in that light in a form of energy. Okay, so basically that's just a brief description of what light is. Okay, so light's a form of energy. It's radiant energy. It can move in all sorts of different directions. We have natural forms of light. We have artificial forms of light. And in the next screencast, we'll talk about how that light, what different light sources are, and where we might be able to see those in our everyday lives and such. Okay, so hopefully this has helped, guys. Again, I hope you've jotted down some notes on what is light, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next screencast. So thank you for tuning in.